Hello again. So now the directory is created. So the first step that I will start with is using the ACM. So we'll go and show you ACM is Amazon AWS Certificate Manager, right? Right, as you have here, right? And this one, as I showed you here, there are the client and the server certificate. So I will go now to my VPN, my client VPN, and they will create my client VPN. So I'll say client VPN ACM. So description I will keep it as it is optional. And here the client IP CIDR, and this is the CIDR or the IP address range that the client IP address will belong once it will connect to my VPN. Scroll down and here and make sure that, because the ACM is regional, make sure that the client VPN and the ACM are within the same region. And here I will scroll down and choose the server one. Here I will not choose the authentication, right? This authentication I will choose the mutual and not the user-based authentication. So I will click on use mutual authentication, and then this one will ask me for the client certificate. And if, for example, I choose the Active Directory authentication, it will give me this directory ID that is here that we have created earlier, right? So I will choose client certificate, right? And I will scroll down here, and then here I will give it, it's optional, but you can give it a DNS server. And I am sure that within my VPC there will be a DNS that have this IP address. As I shown you before, that by default when you create your VPC, the DHCP offset, the DHCP option offset, create or give a DHCP or the DNS server the address from your CIDR. That is VPC plus 2, means that your CIDR plus 2. Here I have choose for my VPC, this VPC that I am using here, that is called EBVPC. It has this IP for CIDR, and then by default the DNS server IP address will be this one. I will choose the TCP, and here this enable split tunnel. I will show you later on what means that. Here this enable split tunnel is that when your client wants, they will connect to the internet, right? This client here that will be connected to this VPC. Do you want him once when he will try to connect to the internet to use the gateway internet gateway of the AWS, or use his own or her own internet or router? So if you click on enable split tunnel, then you will use your own router to route traffic to the internet. But if you keep it as disabled, then you will use the internet gateway of the VPC. But you have first to authorize this user here, or this client VPN that will create, to connect to the internet. Means 0.0.0/0. But if you authorize him only to use only a VPC or the IP4 side of the VPC, then he will not be able to go to the internet. So if you keep this one disabled and you authorize him only to use, or authorize him the access only to that IP4 side, then that user will be not able to Google or Google anything. I will show you that. I will choose which VPC I will use. It is my this VPC, and then you have to create a security group. I have already created, and they call it Client VPN security group. So let me go to this security group and check what are the inbound rules that I have allowed. So I will open here, and then I will filter security group name Client VPN security group, then choose, click on that, scroll down, and as you can see, I allow this user to use SSH to connect to my instances that are within my VPC, and also to ping them. So let me come here and then change this one to all, right? Because this if I keep it the range of 10.10.0.0/16, it will not work. And then let me launch an instance that I will test the SSH and the ping on it. Because if I connect to my VPN, I will be not able to go to the internet, and I will be not able to launch an instance. So for that, let me launch it first. It is already here, right? This instance, I will just start it. You can create it for yourself, and make sure that is publicly accessible, that is reside within a public subnet, and it is in the subnet that I have show you before. So if I go to the detail or the metadata of this instance, you can see this, it has this IP address, and this is within this VPC. Scroll down, and for security, you can choose, you can go and see what are the security group that we have provide to this instance, and we will find the SSH and the ACM as well. So this one. So let me come back here and try to refresh. So the instance now it's working, and let me complete the creation of this client VPN. So I will scroll down here, and then I will create that VPN. So we have to make sure that we have a target network association. And what means that? What does that target association? Because sorry, I have this VPC, this one, and then I have to choose a private subnet. So once I will choose this one and associate target network, then this service will create an elastic network interface to the subnet that I have specified it here, right? and then click on associate that. Another thing I have to do is to go to the authorization role, right? And add an authorization role. And here I will choose that this user is only, or anyone that will use this client VPN configuration, it is authorized only to talk with this IP CIDR. And for users, I will allow all users to access. And later on, when we will use AWS directory service, we will allow a specific user that belongs to a specific group, and here will provide the access group ID. You will see this later. And then click on add authorization role. So in the same time, let me download this configuration that I will provide it here to this client VPN, right? So it can connect to this client server. So I will download the client configuration, and once it's downloading, I have to modify it and add something to it. Otherwise, it will not work. So the first thing you have to go to the where you have generate the client and the server certificate, and you have to copy this cert and this client key and save them somewhere, right? Because we will use them now. And then open another tab and go to downloads, and then here I will copy this one and paste it here, and then I will edit with notepad, right? And then add to it these lines that are here. The source and the key of the client and must be in this path. So I will come back here somewhere here, and then I paste that here, and they will save it. And once I will save it, right, I will go to my client here, and then import file, and then go to documents, and look for AWS. Documents, AWS, VPN, certs, and open it. Right, it is imported successfully, and I have to make sure that the state of this client VPN endpoint is active. I have to wait it is in the pending state, and I have to copy the IP address of this instance, right? Because I want to choose or to check the ping and the SSH to this instance. So in the meantime, Let me go to instance and launch a Windows Server instance. This one we will join it to our domain. But before join it, you have to create a role that will enable you or will give you permission or will give permission to that instance to join the domain of our AWS directory service. So for that, I have already created that role, but let me show you how you can do that as well. So go to ACM, go to roles. You have already have this role, EC2 join domain. You have already created, and in that role, you must have two policies: the Amazon SSM managed instance core and Amazon SSM directory service access. So once you create that, then now you can launch an instance that will have your Windows server. So select this one, and then I will choose the t2.xlarge, and then I will choose my VPC, then choose the public one because I want to reach this instance. And then here for the role, we'll choose the EC2 join domain role that I have created earlier. Here you can choose this one directly, and once this instance will launch it, it will join automatically to this domain. But me, I want to show you how you can choose it, how you can join it manually. And here where I will clear the idea of how to use the Amazon Route53 outbound endpoint that we have discussed about before. So we scroll up, next, name, I have already this security group,